We would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet to share these conversations on the Vegan Compass podcast.
We extend our respect to elders past, present and emerging, as well as any of our listeners and guests. Hello and welcome to the Vegan Compass podcast, unveiling truths, inspiring change.
We're your hosts, Rick Allport and Mackenzie Cross.
In each episode, we bring you meaningful conversations with vegan changemakers that remind us progress is possible, even in a world full of bad news.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Vegan Compass podcast. As always, it's so great to have you with us and we're very excited to bring you an in-person episode today with Elijah and Liam, who have got a new film coming out, so we'll hear all about that soon. How are you, Rick?
I am very well, and I'm really loving the fact that we have another in-person event happening here today. So before we go any further, let's get right into it. Guys, who are you? And what do you do?
Fantastic question. You go first.
No, you go first.
You go.
No, you go. No, I'll go.
My name is Liam. I'm a filmmaker. Predominantly my background is in mostly commercial corporate work and kind of moving more into the doc and kind of film world.
How long have you been vegan?
How long have I been vegan? I've been vegan for about 8 years now. Yep.
And what was the catalyst for you? Was it more animals, environment, health?
Yeah, actually, I watched Dominion one night at about 2 a.m. I actually can't remember how I stumbled on it. It was something completely unrelated.
What late night viewing?
Yeah, it was random. And then
did you go in horror film genre? Yeah.
Maybe. It was. I honestly, I thought about this many times, but I can't remember what led to clicking on it. But I watched it, and then I woke up in the morning and haven't had meat or anything else since. So
that's awesome.
That was about 8 years ago. Yeah.
It's amazing how Dominion did affect so many people. I did 6 screenings of Dominion, so hosted 6 screenings. Yeah, because I was head of the Animal Justice Party in Queensland.
Yeah.
So I just went around and did 6, and by the 6th one I was shot. And it's like I can't do any more. But the amount of people who would walk up after watching it and saying that's completely changed my life. Wow. So it's amazing. Documentaries are brilliant. But we will move over now to Elijah. So Elijah, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Elijah. I'm a chef, been a chef for a very, very long time. Not necessarily chefing full-time anymore, I'm moving into restaurant management, but still within hospitality. Been doing that for a while, been vegan for about 10 or 11 years now, which definitely has changed the course of my career in terms of the direction and also what I want to showcase and how I want to communicate that to the guest. So it's been a huge part of that. Foraging became one of them very early on in terms of reconnecting with nature and appreciating that, highlighting that back when I was an apprentice. And I think that reconnection really changed my perception on produce, farming, agriculture, and also how my food can represent Australia as a whole on an international scale, which definitely played a key factor in decisions also down the line when I worked at different places. That's it.
That's really interesting. I'm curious to know how you got into cooking. Was there like a specific moment that you fell in love with cooking, or was it something that you did with your parents or grandparents growing up?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. I didn't grow up wanting to cook or be a chef. My dad was very against it. As parents are, your first idea is always a terrible one. Get a 9 to 5 and stick to it. Have a family. Anyway, thanks Dad for the support. Anyway, so I went and did criminology at university for a year. So I loved psychology and crime and all that sort of stuff. That was my big passion. But then while I was at university, I was working 2 jobs. One was like a dish pig at a cafe, and one was at Red Rooster. I've been there since I was like 14. But it was the cafe that I worked at. The head chef there and the owner, who was just had such an infectious, positive energy, and he was there doing 100 hours, doing 16-hour days. He was the owner of the business and head chef, but me just washing dishes and just to see how happy he was and enthusiastic, and no matter how busy it was, he just could always make you laugh and smile and whatever he had going on. And it just changed my idea of what it meant to be a chef or what chefs could be. You know, especially the media that you see all the time, it's not like that at all.
True.
You know, you of course you see the very PR side of chefs that are very, here's how to make a trout dish, or, you know, or you get the extreme opposite of the Gordon Ramsay. But when you work side by side someone and you get that direct, real relationship, it made it fun, and he made it fun. And I never looked at cooking the way I did until I looked at it through his eyes, and that he just brought me along on this roller coaster, and I decided to leave university and become a chef.
So what took you into the world of fine dining? Because, you know, the chef has many levels.
Totally.
But you've taken yourself up into the fine dining realm.
Yeah.
What was that journey like?
In a weird sense, I think it was more of a personal journey decision, because I really enjoyed the discipline of fine dining. I enjoyed the appreciation of the produce. And also you surround yourself with people that are going to be just as caring and passionate in fine dining that you very rarely see at other distinct levels of cooking. Not like your local cafes or pubs. You might be surrounded by people that are just there because it's just a job. It's just money. And so you can feel quite unenthused when you're putting in 110% effort into the service and the people next to you aren't. But when you go to fine dining, everyone's just as committed, because most people that want to become a chef treat that career very seriously and want to work hard. And that energy is like being around a superstar team. You know, it's like playing basketball at your local team. It's like when you go into the big leagues, you're surrounded by people that want to just be guns together and push forward together. And fine dining was like that. And man, like the energy is amazing when you just work together on a service and communicate. And of course there are good times, bad times. I could talk about all the shit experiences, but as an overall, it teaches you so many personal things that I really enjoyed. Yeah.
And it's kind of an art form, right? Because you're piecing all of these things together to ultimately create a experience for someone. Just like when they're looking at a painting and interpreting the art, people also sort of have a similar experience with food. They enjoy eating food and, you know, tasting good food and having that experience with other people at the table.
Totally.
Yeah.
I just think the whole plating up thing is fascinating to me. Like, I will make food at home and just go splat on the plate. But when it comes, it's like, that'll do. But when it comes out in a high class restaurant, it's all beautifully laid out, and you're just going, wow. It's just taken so long just to make it look like that. So it really is an art form.
It's an art form, but God, I'll tell you now, it's funny. You can get very over involved in this when you realize that you guys, it's not about this. It's about how you feel. It's about the experience. Hence why I transitioned to front of house and restaurant management, because I want to get to understand there's more to just this picture.
Yeah,
it's how you're treated, it's the mood, it's the atmosphere, it's the music. And so that plays such an important role, that kind of is the foreplay to make sure that you enjoy this, you know? But our chefs hyperfixate on this when that's just not always the case. And I used to be one of those people who was so blindly thinking everyone's here for the food and for the chef. And it's just, it changes your life when you realise that there is a bigger world out there, you know?
Well, one of our favourite restaurants is Don Fred in Newtown.
Oh, great.
And Lorenzo is very much like that. He not only is he out the back cooking, but he's also bringing stuff out. He's chatting to people and
remembering your name.
Yeah.
My parents live on the Sunshine Coast, but a couple of times a year they come to Sydney, and I always bring them to Don Fred.
Yeah.
And straight away Lorenzo is like, "Oh, Mum and Dad are here." Like, he just remembers who they are, and
that's hospitality.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's what it should be like. But let's transition now over to Liam, because I want to know, like, of course, in a very long past life of mine, I was into the film industry. What was your journey into the film industry? What got you interested in it? How did you evolve into filmmaking, which is now turning you into documentaries?
I think it was something that I always wanted to get into early on. I think maybe I was always a big fan of movies. I watched a lot of movies as a kid and growing up as a teenager. So I think around about, high school, year 10, 11, 12, that sort of a time, when you kind of have to think about what you want to do afterwards, that's kind of when I, decided I wanted to do something in, I guess, the media landscape at that time. So I went to uni and studied media and film. But then after that, I kind of I guess, bummed around for a little bit. So I'd studied it and I had enjoyed it, but then I kind of just wanted to, do some traveling, do some, odd hospitality jobs here and there.
Could have met in another life.
Could have, yeah. So that's what I did for a couple of years, and then it was only maybe about, I want to say maybe 8 years ago that I kind of started taking it more seriously, and then so that's kind of what led me to where I am now.
Yeah. I'm curious how you know each other, and Liam, how you decided that Elijah's story was one that you were going to tell. I'm guessing by the laughter, there's a bit of a story here.
Yeah, there is. Do you want to tell the story?
Usually, you're the one that tells the story.
So we met on Bumble.
Actually?
And he chose me. Yeah. He doesn't like to tell this story. He feels a bit embarrassed, but I like honesty is the best policy, I say. No, I'm kidding. We didn't meet on Bumble.
It was a great story.
It would have been really funny.
It nearly worked.
Usually. No. I used to do a lot of like pop-ups and events at like the Waratah and Vivid and stuff, and I just happened to want to do a call out and connect with people that were super passionate in the vegan space, that were, photographers, videographers, kind of expand the scope, and that's how we met. He just reached out and we just went to a coffee at Buddha Bowl.
Buddha Bowl.
Yeah, rip.
Yeah, Buddha Bowl.
R.I.P. Buddha Bowl.
R.I.P. Buddha Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
Adam, I miss that guy.
Yeah.
That was my first and last time there.
Really?
Buddha Bowl, yeah.
Oh, it was such a great place.
Oh
and
my
there's
God.
just nothing really that's going to replace it.
I know. I gotta get it.
Yet.
Yet.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
is this the man we work on to get the new Buddha Bowl?
Yeah, get him.
We were just talking about this, weren't we?
Okay.
Yeah, we could probably do it.
There's
yeah,
such a gap in the market for it, please.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. We
Call
just-
it Hare Krishna Bowl.
That's terrible.
So Liam,
call it the Kool-Aid.
Liam, what was it about Elijah's philosophy that made you realise that you wanted to tell his story and you wanted to document it?
Well, I think what Mackenzie, you were saying before, how cooking is kind of an art form. I think it's quite evident when you speak to, I guess, chefs, quote unquote, as opposed to like, I don't know, like you say, people that just work it as a job. I think in my opinion, at heart, they're kind of storytellers as well. It's just through food. So it's the way it's the ingredients that they use. It's how they plate it up. It's how they cook it. All that stuff.
The romanticism.
Whatever you do.
Yeah.
So it was very evident when I met him that he was passionate about storytelling. And I think in his case, it was not just storytelling through food, it was also kind of expanding that. And so when I said I was also interested in, doing more documentary work, it seemed like a good fit. So
we went on our first date and we
that
had to
was
look back.
that was my first mistake.
And rumours start here.
Yeah. Your best mistake, thank you.
But I've got to say, I've watched the trailer and I have to compliment you completely on your filming techniques.
Thank you.
It looks absolutely brilliant. So I wish I could be there at the premiere, but sadly I can't be. So it interests me about, moving on to the foraging part, which we sort of touched on. How does that wild food philosophy change the way you approach vegan fine dining? And when you're out, this is something that I'm fascinated about. When you're out foraging, how do you find things that aren't going to kill you?
Yeah, good question. So my cousin just went to prison recently for cooking a beef Wellington. And, yeah, I'm just kidding. So it's it is a good question, but it's complicated for people that are really passionate about the space, and you may not have the people to teach you, right? So they just go out and start tasting things like a wild animal, and live to learn another day. It's like you're a kid when you're eating leaves off a tree and then just tastes like utter rubbish. But like, obviously I learned my information through chefs that have been through it before, right? And that's how knowledge is passed down, is from people who have experienced it. Which is kind of silly for people who are so passionate about it to not pick up a book or to not ask around. Like, there are so many passionate and talented and informative people in the space that do tours, myself included. But, you know, I like to talk about Diego Bonetto, for example, who's in the space, who's been teaching people about wild weeds and foraging for decades. And he's just released a book called Eating Weeds that you can get at most bookstores. And that's an amazing reference. If I could suggest anyone to start anywhere with a book, that would be it, Eating Weeds by Diego Bonetto. It's so beautifully illustrated. It's so informative. The pictures are gorgeous. Sometimes you might get these field books that just tell you about it but don't have any visual cues, and you're like cookbooks. It's hard to imagine.
I will not cook from a recipe book if there's not a picture of what it's supposed to look like.
It sounds terrible for us kids to think like that, but it leaves little to the imagination, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be disappointed that it didn't turn out like that. But if you don't have that, you'll just enjoy the process and be happy with the result. But we're so determined on it being replicable to the T without just enjoying the process, you know?
But you want to, like in a book like that, you'd want to have a really good, realistic picture of what you want to go out there and pick.
Totally.
Because you don't want to go out and go, oh, does this look like this? No, it doesn't.
A green leaf.
Yeah, exactly.
Very descriptive, you know?
But it's amazing. Like, it's split into like beach herbs, you know, forest, you know, mushrooms and seaweeds and all this sort of stuff. So it's an amazing start. That's where I would start. But Diego holds tours himself. He's based out in Lithgow. I do some as well. I've actually got one next Saturday. I've got 2 next Saturday, some foraging tours that I've got. The early morning session sold out, but we've got a 1:30 p.m. session as well. That's the day before the film comes out. It's kind of tied in. So if people want to maybe have a bundled experience, I guess, in which you can go do a tour and you can learn about these things that I use that you'll see on the screen through the film. You can go there and be taught and kind of feel the way I feel with reconnecting to nature. So then when you go to see the film, you can kind of really get the whole package of going, oh, this is why this guy gives a fuck.
Okay,
you know,
well,
like,
we can put the link to
Yeah,
that,
totally.
the tours in the show notes.
We will.
Yeah, for sure. But look, long story short, I think that connection with nature for myself came because of being a chef, right, and cooking. It didn't really come foraging first, it came cooking first. And then me breaking the fourth wall of going, oh, this food actually comes from somewhere. Let's go see where this comes from. You know, and there are little aspects of all the seaweeds, the herbs, the flowers, the berries, the mushrooms you can pick to use. You know, I've got some crazy stories. At this one restaurant, we used to forage our own salt.
What?
Oh, cool.
Oh, this is ridiculous. So the chefs would go out, right? And we have these big 40-litre buckets. And by foraging salt, we're just taking ocean water, right? And we go there, you know, and you're getting this ocean water. And you have this massive pot at the restaurant. And you fill it up with ocean water. And you would let that burn on a low and evaporate. And you would use that to cure the trout that we got sourced from that region or that ocean, that body of ocean, you know? So we'd cure that in that same... It was crazy. It was just so silly. But the day before, every day, I'd have to go out and forage nasturtium flowers or nasturtiums, for example, or sea lettuce, you know, or saltbush or beach mustard.
Yeah.
All these cool little aspects that were so beautifully unique, that were so uniquely Australian in their own way, because it was so hyper seasonal. It was very beautiful.
And it's great that you've turned this now into like the vegan realm.
Totally.
Where you can use all the stuff that you were taught beforehand, and now it's just, you've created a whole new vegan way of cooking.
Yeah, and you know what I realized since, right, is that the beauty of what I do is I sometimes fail to remember that I cook vegan food, because when people come, the experience is so based on trying these new ingredients and this produce that you forget that what you're eating is vegan. You know, and the moment I realized that, I was like, oh, this kind of works.
It's kind of a silent activism, I guess.
Kind of.
Yeah.
It's like the peas and the mashed potatoes, you know, where I'm like, focus on the mashed potato, which is all the herbs and the foraging and the unique produce and the ingredients and all the things you're trying, and then you forget there's peas inside, which is the fact that it's vegan, you know, and that's what it is.
Yeah, good analogy. That's funny.
Yeah, but that was completely accidental. But that started at like the roots dining stage when I was doing these six seater 9-course dinners. But yeah, it was cool. It was a good moment of realization.
Did you know that most of our listeners aren't subscribed yet?
If you're enjoying the conversation and believe these stories deserve to be heard, make sure you're subscribed.
It's a free and easy way to help us grow and keep these conversations going.
And another sort of element to the film is it's very environmental and ecology focused. And obviously there's other voices in the film as well, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But I wanted to pick up there, Elijah, you were talking about like microclimate differences for some of these ingredients, and I know that's one of the stories you tell through the film. So can you tell us how these microclimate changes have affected your menus or specific products that you're is products the right word? Ingredients that you're foraging. And yeah, if you have any specific examples so people can sort of understand the greater environmental picture of this film.
I want to start this question, but I want to alley this one also onto him, because I think both perspectives on that question are going to be good. So in terms of how microclimates would change the access to the ingredients, it's such a important note to talk about, right? Because that's what the whole point of the film is that how if we don't take care of the land that we're so, I guess, ignorant of now that we have supermarkets, how can we be reminded of the immediate effects of the land in which we can get produce from if we're not giving back and caring for it, right? That's basically the whole point of the film. And so one example would be, sea lettuce, all right? So sea lettuce is like a microalgae. Ulva lactuosa is the scientific name. And that's one of the best examples that I talk about, that we note in the film, of how small temperature changes in the water you can watch it just go away like that, right? And there are so many times, and God, I wish that it'd come out some of the days that I'd gone picking for it, because let's say, for example, around like Cronulla or whatever, or Brighton Le Sands, right? You've got the industrial airport there, for example, such a great, easy, symbolic or not so symbolic, very obvious way in which just talking about how the economy and consumerism and convenience can just trash the area around it, right? And Brighton Le Sands, in that whole pocket area as well, La Perouse, you can notice that whenever there's runoff or rain, you can feel it straight away. And so in those areas when I'm getting, for example, sea lettuce, if it hasn't rained in a couple of weeks, it's so fresh, it's so green, the water's clear, everything's beautiful. But the moment it starts to rain, or you come to summer and the water's getting warmer, even if just by a couple of degrees, that algae will start to come back and climb back, and it will just hide away, and you can't pick anything. It's one of these ingredients that are not like weeds that will stay there throughout the summer, that are hard dealing with the Australian climate. When you're dealing with what grows in the water, it can change so quickly, right? So no different to the climate that's happening in the Great Barrier Reef, right? Yeah. Anything to do with water can make such subtle but huge repercussions. And so I think for him, this is where I'm going to throw to him, having him try to focus on that and tell that story was very interesting. Like, I'm curious to see how he's going to translate that. Yeah. Did you want to?
Well, I think the thing to say is it's not a film about foraging. Foraging is kind of just one aspect of it. It's more so a film about trying to, I guess, reconnect with the environment around us. And I guess being aware of things that will impact it. I think one of the key things that we're trying to, I guess, reinforce with the with the film is that we're all kind of part of the same ecosystem, whether that's marine or it's a terrestrial-based ecosystem. Everything is interlinked. So when we're talking about changes in weather affecting algae or kelp or whatever, the thing is, most of these changes are human-led. Most of these causes are human-led. So I think what the film is trying to do is just at least get that question or that thought into our minds as to how we're connected and how we have become disconnected.
Well, the title of your film is Awakened. Mm-hmm. Good title. Thank
you.
But it has this overarching question: where did we go wrong with our relationship with the environment? So, how did that focus question come to you? I guess we all wonder how we've all lost our connection. So, how did that work?
And I guess there's also, sorry to interrupt. There's also a sense of having no hope for the future, feeling despair. And from the trailer, obviously I haven't seen the film yet, but it puts puts back the control in our hands of how we can appreciate the environment and have more of a relationship with the environment in our everyday lives.
Yeah, I think obviously we're taking a very kind of marine perspective with this film. So a lot of it is based around ocean environments and things like that. And I think one of the key learnings, but one of the key thoughts I've had while making it is, I think a lot of people that grew up around the ocean or around the sea, they have a pretty good awareness or a pretty good understanding of, what our impacts are. And, this is the ocean that they go to swim in every day. They can see changes, they can feel changes. But I think the question is, how do you translate this to people who don't live in coastal areas or who don't have access to or easy access to the ocean, that aren't swimming or surfing or whatever every single day or every week even. I think it almost seems like, again, if we're talking about the ocean specifically, I think it almost seems like just some distant mythical problem
Yeah.
or thing that has nothing to do with us almost. And I think I'm saying that from someone who grew up in the West, so I didn't really grow up around the ocean at all. And I think these questions was also something that I didn't have in mind until relatively recently. So I think it's about how do we get that question into people's minds, especially when they're not exposed to it as much as other people.
Well, it's a really interesting thing because, again, many years ago in a past life, I ran youth centres, and there were so many kids who would come in and they'd never been to the beach, and you would take them to the beach and they just were like, their eyes would just open up because suddenly this whole new world had appeared in front of them and they wanted to explore and they wanted to find out more. But you find that most people who do live further out will never have gone to coastal lines and seen the ocean and seen the power and the environment changes. So yeah, it's really interesting what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think it's a difficult message to translate because it's not so much that we should be caring about the ocean specifically. I think that's where foraging comes into it as well, because we're trying to present foraging as just one way to kind of be in touch with things around you, the environment around you. And I think if whatever that is, if you can kind of become more in touch with things that are in your proximity, whether that's a local park or it's a local community or a local community garden, you can take that concept and translate it to other things such as the ocean. So I think, again, it's a difficult message to try and translate onto film, but I think that's what we're trying to tell, really.
I feel like there's a sense of receptivity to that message that there maybe hasn't been in the past couple of years, because we all felt very isolated after COVID, and now we're sort of seeking that community connection again. And I also think the vegan community is being quite fragmented over the last couple of years, and in a lot of ways we're all seeking connection, human connection, and also environmental connection, and probably technology and AI hasn't helped with that either. So I feel like it's a good time where people might be more receptive to this and looking for ways to actually implement that connection with the environment in their day-to-day life.
Yeah, for sure. And again, we're not really telling people to do anything. That's not what the film is about. I think it's just more asking that question.
Thought-provoking.
Yeah. And it's like, again, back to the foraging. It's just one way that he uses to kind of reconnect with, the environment, plants around us, local ecology, but it's not the only way.
I think this is really important. You just said thought-provoking, and that was one of the big discussions we wanted to have about the film, right? Of how we wanted this to be told, because you could either go this very direct, this is the message, act now, or you can go the opposite way where it's like, look, this is just something that we're passionate about, just something to think about. If you've ever been curious to think about what's going on and how we can have you propose this idea in your own mind to inspire some action, some positive action, that was definitely the way to do it. I mean, human nature, like, we don't respond to being told what to do. It's just classic humans, you know? But where you have to be, I don't know, I was thinking about this the other day, and I wanted to ask you this question, right? Because you're a teacher for a long time, and you would have to deal with that of how do I convince people to change from being, even whether they're children or adults, to make a positive, or even to be passionate about something. Like, I'm kind of curious, I want to ask that question to you. How have you learnt transferable skills to have people see, like, the right way to do something and to do it and commit to it?
I think the thing is, when you're trying to teach people to do things, you have to lead by example. So you have to live live what you're teaching.
Right.
There's no point teaching theory and then going out and doing the exact opposite. You need to actually live it, breathe it, believe it, and it's very much like animal rights activism.
Right.
What sort of hypocrite would I be going, hey, we got to do things for the animals, and then turn around and eat a McDonald's burger? It just doesn't fit. So being authentic. Knowing your subject. If people come up with questions, you've got to know your subject. You can't just try and wing it, and then a student comes back and goes, well, I know that's bullshit.
Bullshit.
But that's the thing, and this is the thing with students. They will call you out. They have no hesitation in calling you out if they think you're talking crap. Know your subject, be passionate about it, be authentic, and live by example is the best way to get people to understand what you're doing.
I'm not a teacher, but I feel like from my perspective also, everyone is going to have a different element that they relate to.
Totally.
So if they can find the thing that they're passionate about, or the aspect of it that inspires them, then maybe that's something that they can stick with or investigate further, rather than trying to fit everyone into a box and saying, if you have a love of cooking, you want to be a chef, it looks like this, and put it in a box.
Totally.
Whereas you've gone, I'm really passionate about foraging, and you've created a new box. I guess you're outside of the box, but you're integrating the skill and what you're passionate about, but I don't know. I'm not articulating myself.
No. And I think the thing is too, you got to remember, you don't always know whether you've had an effect on anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
It's only occasionally do you get feedback from somebody saying, "Hey, you really, spoke to me. You changed my life." I mean, the example was a student at my last school. I was teaching photography, and she really didn't know what she was doing. A lot of the other teachers went, she's just one of the kids we just don't really worry about. And then I said, look, come and try and do some photography. And she just suddenly clicked, like it was there. And she ended up doing incredibly well in the HSC. She was in the Art Express exhibition. She was really outstanding. Didn't hear from her for years and years and years and years. And then suddenly on Facebook, she popped up and she just said, hey, I just wanted to let you know that, you're the only person who actually showed something for me and believed in me. And I just wanted to tell you I'm now the assistant photography editor on Oprah magazine.
No.
And I'm like, I'll get out of here. Can you get me a job?
That's crazy.
That's really cool.
She's,
it's going to make me tear up. It's actually beautiful.
But it's just that, giving people something. And like I said, you don't always get feedback, but when you do, oh goddamn, it's great.
Doesn't that
makes
feel
you feel
amazing?
so good,
Doesn't it? And Rick, it's so crazy you say that, because I just called up this head chef that was at the cafe who convinced me to be a chef literally like 3 weeks ago, and I hadn't spoken to him in like years, but I just felt this need to just get his number and call him, and I gave him a call, and I just was like, hey, I've never told you this, but I need you to know that I'm so grateful that you were there at that time and place and convinced me to be a chef, because you've changed my life in such positive ways. Like, I've gone on to have such incredible experiences, and I've been so happy following this dream wherever it has led me. And that was because you gave me this infectious, enthusiastic energy for cooking, and no one else has ever replaced that, And it was such a somber moment. Like, he really felt it. Like, I was like, I thought he was almost going to cry,
But for him, that's probably made it all worthwhile.
He probably
all his teaching, and he probably, like I do, tell that story. He tells that story of you ringing him to other people, because it means the world to hear that feedback after many years. you sometimes wonder, did I make a difference to anybody? And then when you hear those stories back, it's really cool. So anybody listening in or watching, find your favourite teacher and reach out to them. And,
call your parents.
Yeah.
Tell them you're proud of them and you love them.
Yeah, maybe not too far.
Yeah, true.
But I want to get back. I want to just get back to the film because Liam, just in what I've seen in that short trailer, how do you balance the cinematic beauty of the Australian landscape with the confronting message of environmental damage?
And trying to,
try and
make my face look pretty and not ugly.
Well, I think, it's tricky because going back to what you were saying before, it's when you're talking about these topics, you can feel very doom and gloom. And I think, again, it's not what we're trying to say with the film. Again, more importantly, we're just trying to ask questions. We're trying to get people to think about things. We're trying to get people to look around them. And I think in terms of the cinematic part of it, I think when you have a face like that, it's not too difficult.
This is Frankenstein.
Are you sure you guys didn't meet on Bumble? I'm getting the flirting.
No, it's I don't know. You're filming marine ecosystems. It's these things are beautiful by nature, so I think it's you point a camera at them and it looks nice. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if there's too much talent involved behind that, but
there certainly
it's
is.
more it's more I think trying to balance just the story behind it and not making it too end of the world.
Yeah.
But that's the art of a good filmmaker, is to be able to tell the story through your footage.
Yeah, it is tough in a short format as well. It is going to be around 15 minutes. Because again, you don't, and I think we found this on the film as well, we have different voices representing different parts. And, the more you kind of explore, the more you talk to them, the more interesting the story becomes and the more you want to put in. But then it almost becomes too much. You don't necessarily need all this detail for a short format film. It might work well in a longer format, but for a short format, you kind of have to keep it succinct and very kind of, engaging almost, but also just to the point. So it's kind of, it kind of jumps around a little bit in terms of the structure of the film, but I think hopefully it keeps people engaged for 15 minutes.
Can you tell us about some of the other voices that you have on the film?
Yep. So we've got this dude representing the foraging and the kind of more, artistry side of it in terms of his cooking and utilizing these local ingredients. We've also got a scientific voice in there that she's a marine ecologist. So she does a lot of work on kelp restoration in Sydney, specifically crayweed. So she has given us a lot of insights about kelp, which is also one of the ingredients that he forages, but a different species of kelp. So he forages for golden kelp. But, concepts are still the same. And we've also got Sea Shepherd. So we've got Hunter from Sea Shepherd, who's spoken a little bit about marine debris campaign, as well as how she uses community and Sea Shepherd to kind of be a force for change. So those are the kind of three main perspectives we got.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's nice to have that kind of array of difference, but we're very lucky to have Sea Shepherd involved to want to kind of tell the story as well. So we're very, very lucky. So it's going to be fun.
And that's another way that people can connect with their environment, right? They can go and pick up rubbish from the beach or the park. Yeah,
and that goes back to, just local communities as well. So it's like you don't have to live near the ocean or you don't have to live near a marine environment to care.
Yeah.
If you're walking down the street, you see some trash, at least question why that trash is there. Hopefully you pick it up, but at least ask yourself the question. And I think once you start kind of implementing these thought processes, or at least the shift in mentality, then you can kind of expand out to beyond your local community into, again, if you're living away, into like marine ecosystems or oceans and things like that.
Yeah.
Now, the film uses ancestral skill of foraging. Of course, foraging has been around since day dot. So that's a central theme. So do you believe that looking backward at how we used to eat is the key for a sustainable future?
Fantastic question. No, obviously not. However, I do believe that it can be an important skill. It's no different to people that go hunting or foraging. It's either. It's not there to be the only resource for you to get all of your nutrients. However, it is a good way for you to get part of, to use that as a way and point of meaning to get what it is that you need. So it's not like, you're going to get a golden kelp and be like, that's dinner tonight. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But you can use that and plenty of ingredients in your cooking. And that's just quite normal. I have various different things whenever I'm making dashies or so forth. I just have kelp that I'll just throw in instead of buying kombu or nori. So I definitely use these things. I've got different sorbets that I've made from lily pillies and stuff in my freezer. Whenever I feel like an ice cream, I just eat that instead of buying one. So it's not they're meant to be a whole meal, but there's definitely an aspect in which it's no different to going how you might pick up different hobbies and so forth to give you a bit of sense of self-care or to give you a sense of love or appreciation for your community. That's more or less what it is about. That's the main focus there. The takeaway of the film isn't for you to just, go vegan as much as we should go vegan. It's just about reconnecting with nature and the environment. So yeah, it is a good question, but we're not expecting people to do that at all. That's not what the point of it is about.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fascinating because, people just think, I'll just go to the supermarket and I'll just buy my produce from the supermarket and I'll just get frozen peas, frozen corn and frozen spinach and, occasional thing from the fresh fruit area. But for people to then start going out and reconnecting with nature and, looking for things like mushrooms, of course, the ones that aren't going to kill you, and like the weeds is something that I'm going to start looking into that because that's really interesting. So, yeah, getting people to reconnect on that earth level will actually change people.
Even gardening, like I'm in a townhouse. We don't have a big backyard, but I've got raised garden beds and I've just started gardening, doing what I can. Like I've got herbs, I've got a pumpkin that's growing, which I'm really excited about. I mean, pumpkins are easy to grow, but I've also had eggplants that went crazy. I've had radishes that went crazy. So it's nice. There's that sense of satisfaction of like, I grew this and now I'm going to cook with it. Like I pickled the radishes and then every time...
You really don't want to waste any of it,
Oh, it was,
Whereas people
sorry.
No, it's just funny because now, because convenience is so easy, people don't care so much about what they've got because it's so easy to get. But, it's the old adage or whatever they call it, but you don't appreciate what you have till it's gone. But convenience makes everything so disposable. Relationships with these apps, this Hinge and Tinder, it's so easy, whereas the organic way of falling in love makes you want to connect and put the effort in because, you just got striked up a conversation at a bar and you weren't expecting and it's so charming and you like that and you're swept away as opposed to this, you weren't that good, I'll just try the next one. And so...
And that's the thing, we've become so disjointed from the real world because everything's in your phone or everything's on your iPad or whatever you're using. And that's why I think a lot of people are now searching for that community feel again and getting back in touch with people.
Wake up.
Yes, saying to wake up.
Starting to wake
Awakened,
up.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Become awakened.
Yeah.
That sounds like a cult tagline a little bit.
Yeah.
Guru Mackenzie, become awakened. Something else that's in the film that I'm really interested about is you've composed some music for the film.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I would love to. Look, much like yourself, like music was just something that I've been doing for many, many years. It's just such a passion. And it was funny, we were talking about the film and one of the aspects, now that I work front of house, for example, these are just transferable ideas and skills where I was like, look, you're incredible at what you do as a cinematographer, but imagine watching a film with no music, right? And I thought, obviously he's going to put music in the film. I was never worried about that, but wouldn't it be a cool way to compose the right song to give you the right feeling and adding the layers of the fact that all that is still original makes the film even more valuable, right? Like I love that. Like when I can make a dish, you can look and pick apart everything, and I can tell you everything about it. From the plate, I know the ceramicists because I've been to them. Whether it be Millie Dent in Marrickville or Claire Ellis in Melbourne, or so many other people. It's just like I know them because I love creating this whole picture in which every single element was thought about and produced, and I'm passionate about it, and people can see that, people can feel that, right? And I want to do the same thing with the film, where I'm like, man, we're doing so much work and effort. We just got one little layer to top off, and I thought maybe a song would be great. So I spent like so much money on this like really good music equipment because I don't want to half-ass this project. It's incredible, so I don't want to just jam a tune on a bloody laptop on my Dell computer, like I want to make it sound really nice, so I spent time learning producing on all these apps and stuff, and really wrapped my head around it, bumming around, and was just kind of making the song, and we tossed ideas of what we want the feeling to be and how to create a song that resonates. What do the lyrics mean that means something of value, but the song could still be a standalone thing that you could listen to and still provide your own sense of profound value from that in your own world, and so that's when I got to composing this song, and I don't know, it just kind of came super natural. Like when you have a topic that is quite deep and honest, and obviously a lot of the film resonates with me anyway, it felt very easy to just write something. It's like I'm writing it trying to get into your head with how you feel about it, or your head. It's like I already feel this way about this, so it was very easy to just say these things and to write a song that was very beautiful. It's called Wake Up My Friend. Who knows, maybe we might have it on Spotify sometime soon, but it played on the radio a couple of days ago. We had it air on there, which was awesome. But
we'll
it's a beautiful
include
song.
a snippet of it in this episode.
Well, I'll actually be running the song underneath this little bit of the
why
chat.
not?
So
Cool.
yeah.
People are going to start crying.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you about my experience listening to the song. I work in social media.
Sure.
Like, I'm constantly seeing all of the horrible animal abuse footage, and it was just a particularly bad day. There was a couple of videos in succession where I was like, oh God, like what have we done as humans? Like just so tragic. I was feeling really depressed about it. And then I saw your email with the song and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to this. And it started playing and it was so like grounding. And at the forum, Rick and Ayanthi did a presentation about Guarding the Flame. So it was about, activist burnout. And Ayanthi, she's a vegan psychologist, taught one of these techniques, which is like a butterfly hug. So you cross your hands over and tap, and the alternate tapping is supposed to help sort of calm your brain. So it was my 5 minutes of calm. I sat on my chair listening to the song and doing my butterfly tapping, and I was like, this feels so good. Now I can tackle the rest of the day.
Good. Yeah, good. Like, I'm glad that you feel that way, because obviously up until the film airs, not many people have heard the whole song, So I'm still very nervous. Like, I'm not a musician or music producer by no means. This is just passion into it.
Okay, so the premiere is happening this Sunday, March 22.
Correct.
What time?
1 p.m. Yeah,
Okay.
1 p.m. till 2.
And that's at the Bondi Pavilion Theatre.
Correct.
So what can attendees expect?
What you can expect. So it's going to be quite the day. I mean, for us anyway. But from 1 o'clock, the film will probably air, or maybe just shortly after. So kind of arrive maybe 15 minutes prior. But there will be the short film followed by a Q&A session, a panel discussion. So we're going to have someone also from Sea Shepherd there as the MC, who I think would be fantastic because they're in the space, so they know how to ask the right questions to get the crowd at least involved. And the crowd can also ask questions, whether it be about the film, cinematography, foraging, ocean conservation, all that sort of stuff. So that's all going to be involved there, which I think is going to be pretty awesome. What's more to it as well is that film is going to be airing in Bondi, but during a large portion of the festival there. So there's more activities as well to have outside of that film.
Yeah.
So you can go there. There's going to be markets and food stalls and all these other activities. So it will be a whole day experience, and that will just be one of the awesome things happening there.
And this is the Ocean Lovers Festival.
Correct.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, I'm so disappointed I can't make it.
I'm really looking forward to it. Sorry, Rick.
I know.
I'll tell you all about it.
You will. So, Liam, what was the most awakening moment for you personally while documenting all these stories?
I think it's just having a chat with a couple of people on the front line. I think you see the incredible work that they're doing, and I guess it gives you, I guess it gives you hope, because there are people out there that are doing things. There are people that are just, there are people that care about things. And I think, not that I didn't know these people existed before, but I think just, talking to them face to face, it kind of just, I guess, it inspires you a little bit. So, yeah.
And Elijah, you've got, as you mentioned a couple of times, like a hospitality consultancy business. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how you're helping other people sort of adopt this wild food philosophy?
Yeah, sure. So look, it's a hospitality consulting agency, Roots Hospitality, and it's kind of combining all of my experience as a chef, running restaurants, opening up restaurants, building kitchens and events, all this sort of stuff, and helping people, I guess, see their own vision in that way and kind of helping them piece that together. So I still do a lot of events or weddings or, very vegan based, that kind of can help people feel comfortable and not feel like they're getting cheated of an experience. So I've got a couple of weddings coming up for, 100 people, 150 people, or celebrations that, now that I've put myself out there in that space, people are going, I love his food. I can still enjoy the same experience that other people get, but with this, not have to compromise.
Yeah.
So that's fun. That's definitely an aspect there. In terms of the wild food space, so we just helped coordinate a festival in the Blue Mountains, the Wild Food Festival, which was awesome. There was so much run up and coordination that required to pull all these passionate people in the wild food foraging space and showcase that along a whole day of markets and food and demonstrations. So we had like a wildfire barbecue there doing demos. We had Annalise Gregory come up from Tasmania and Sharon from Indigiearth, a local chef Layla from the Blue Mountains as well at Frankie's & Co. So it was just so fun, to be around all that creative energy, and much like yourself, awesome to see people in that space who are so passionate about it, reconnecting with nature and showing off even native ingredients and wild foraged ingredients, and just teaching people the simple things on how to just enjoy the joy of what's in front of you.
Yeah.
It sounds like, it's such an amazing experience for everybody, but we've come to our final question of the evening, and it's going to be something that you both need to answer.
Oh, shit.
So one from each of you. You can argue it out who's going to go first. So if listeners can do one thing this week to reconnect with their local ecosystem, what would it be? Over to you.
We'll both answer, but you go first. Tough questions.
Yeah, good question. I think just paying attention to things around you. So, if you're going for a walk after dinner, or if you're doing an early morning run, or whatever you're doing, get off the phone, have a look around you, see what's going on, see if there's any trash about, see if there's any things that need attending to. Just pay attention, essentially, to things around you, and just start asking the question why.
And I want to extend this to a bit more of a more profound effect. I'd love for people to start taking steps to reconnect with the community, because I think that will also have the same longevity to your environment, in the same mindset, right? So whether it's buying the person behind you a coffee, or picking up the little bit of trash on the way to the bin, or finding out it's someone's birthday and getting them a little cupcake and they just don't expect it. Little actions in which you can show people that you care about them, because if you start to lead by example, like we talk about, people will look around and go, that was really nice of him. I want to do that, because I didn't think people were like that, but it's nice to know that person in my life, I want to be like that. And so they do. My work, for example, I've taken the liberty of finding out every single person's birthday, and I bake them a cake or buy them a cake. It's all vegan, by the way. They don't know. Sometimes they know.
They probably expect it.
Yeah, they do. They know. I just like to pretend like we don't know. But they eat it, and I tell them to just enjoy it. But it's about the thought of, and no one was doing this before. Right? And also, I didn't do this because I want my birthday to be anything special. I just thought, fuck it. I'm a chef. I've got some time, my day off, to bake a cake, find out what their favorite cake is, and take it. And, just to remind them that you feel appreciated, you feel loved, These little feelings in your day that can circulate and can inspire other people to want to do the same thing, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's nice to, like you said, maybe by happenstance, have this runoff of people that look up to you and go, you inspired me to be better or to do something different in my life. You lead by example. It's so important to do that. So if you can do the small things that you want to see in your life, you never know the trickle-down effect of who might watch you do that and think, I'm going to do that too. You know? And then we all start to wake up.
Oh, guys, I feel so hopeful after this conversation. You're both so, like, fun, and you've got such a positive, like, outlook, and it's made me feel inspired and, inspired to get out in the community. They've just created a community garden in the park across the road from me.
Oh, dinner sorted then, huh?
Nice.
All right, I'll cook some dinner for us. That's great.
Yeah, go out and forage.
Yeah, chef.
I've got one pumpkin growing for you.
That's a whole dinner done right there. Pumpkin soup.
So funny.
Get some crusty bread.
Oh, well, guys, this has been just a wonderful episode talking like two incredibly inspiring young men. So I really wish I could be there on Sunday, but everybody who is listening, watching, please get out to Bondi on Sunday. Support these guys, be there, watch the film, ask difficult questions, because they can come up with some pretty amazing answers.
Yeah, all the difficult ones I give to this guy. But, I'll answer some. Absolutely.
We'll put all the links in the show notes for tickets and etc.
Get them now. I can't wait. It's going to be very fun. Thank you for having us on.
Well,
thank you.
It's our pleasure.
Our pleasure, yeah.
Thanks, everybody. That brings us to the end of another amazing episode of the Vegan Compass podcast, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. See you later.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please let us know by leaving a comment and share this episode with a friend.